Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Christy Kaludi, the principal of Northwest Primary School and Pierpoint Learning Center. I'm here today with the Learning Lounge for Rutland City Public Schools, and I am hosting Stafford Technical Center. So I'm super excited to have everybody here. We have students and we have administration, and I will start with having them introduce themselves. And actually, I think we'll probably go down the line. So can you just introduce yourselves?
My name is Baker LaRock. I'm a second year in the automotive technology program at Stafford. I came from OV. I born and raised in Leicester, Vermont. Been there all 18 years. I do a lot of sports at Otter Valley. I'm a cross-country runner, and I did skiing for many years, but our coach just retired, so I'm going to be doing rock climbing this year.
That's great. We'll pass it on, and I'll ask you some more questions for sure.
Sure. Melissa Connor, I'm the director at Stafford. This is my 9th year at Stafford, year 29 in career and tech ed here in Vermont. I'm born and raised here in Rutland, and I'm a graduate of Rutland High.
Nice.
I'm Emma Cosgrove. I'm a second year in engineering. I go to Rutland High School from Rutland, lived here my whole life. I play sports. I do field hockey for Rutland High School, and I'm active in a lot of the school clubs and student government at my high school.
I'm Kate Bosnich. I'm the assistant director at Stafford. I do not play sports.
You run around with your son.
True.
Yeah,
true. I try to.
Lots of running.
I try to. It's awkward. And I've been at Stafford for 4 years, and I've worked in Rutland City Public Schools for 15 or 16 years in a couple different roles.
My name is Matt Grover. I'm second year at Stafford for public safety, and was born and raised in Rutland, and I do basketball, soccer, and baseball. Used to do a little bit of running, but not as much anymore.
Nice. Great. Well, thank you guys for coming. I know it's hard to get time in your busy schedules, but we'd love to have you guys here. So I'm going to have the students just talk a little bit about their programs and maybe what attracted them to Stafford. So just tell us about your program, what you do, why you chose Stafford.
How I got into Stafford was actually from Miss Connors and Miss Dunnigan. They came to do a presentation about it to the 10th grade students back at Otter Valley. And that was the first time I had heard of it. And it seemed like an interesting opportunity. Mainly they mentioned that we only had like a couple classes a day, which I liked at the time.
That piqued your interest.
Yeah, and I was looking through all the programs, and I was I would have considered myself a car enthusiast at the time, but I really only looked at cars, going to car shows and watching races and whatnot. But I had always, as a kid, I loved building Lego sets and then taking them apart and rebuilding them without the instructions. And so when I saw the automotive technology career, I figured, being a mechanic would be a great way to combine those two hobbies of mine. So I applied for the automotive technology program, and I got in. I did great there my first year. I got student of the marking period for the second marking period, and I won the VAE Golden Wrench Award at the end of the year, which that's given to one kid from every tech center in Vermont a year.
Wow.
And I met some great people through the VAE. I met Ernie Clarahue, and I got to go on Model T cruises with him. He has a 1914 Model T Ford. They have a wonderful car show up in Waterbury each year. And then we do just working on cars. We have alignment machines and a lot of great snap-on computer stuff, because the way the industry is going, it focused a lot more on computers and electronics than it used to be, especially with electronic vehicles. So it's great to see that the program's kind of moving toward where the industry is going.
Right. Do you accept customers off the street? So can people come in and bring their vehicles to you to get fixed, or how do you acquire vehicles that need to be fixed?
Yeah, we take a large percentage of our customer base is staff or friends and family, just because there's a little more trust there. Mm-hmm. But we take, as far as I know, we take customers from anyone who wants to call us. And we offer a lot cheaper prices than a lot of mechanic shops because obviously, you know, it's students working on it, and it usually takes a little longer, but it's great when we get something challenging to come in, you know, a
Yeah.
bigger job.
Do you have any favorite NASCAR race drivers, favorites? Do you watch NASCAR?
I don't watch NASCAR as much anymore. My favorite driver was Denny Hamlin, but now I race myself.
Like Devil's Bowl race?
No,
or-
the Vermont Sports Car Club, or Sports Car Club of Vermont. Sorry, we have autocross races in the Diamond Run Mall parking lot. You know, set up cone
Wow.
courses and whatnot.
Interesting. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. That was great.
So I was really, ever since I was little, I was really attracted to the idea of like math, STEM, and since I was in like 4th grade, I had been doing programs in first. I started with like the first Lego League, so I've had a lot of like hands-on experience since I was little with STEM and engineering aspects, and so I kind of always knew that was something I was really passionate about. It was like the one interest I found that I was like, I can make a career out of this and be perfectly content being here every day of my life. So through FLL, I met one of the previous instructors, Guy Babb, and he would come and he would tell me all about his Stafford class and how much he loved teaching there and all the fun stuff I would learn, and how he couldn't wait till I was old enough because he knew I would do amazing at Stafford. So ever since I was little, I knew people who went through the engineering program. I had been in the lab a bunch of times too before I even was in high school through like different events that was held in the lab. So it was really a place that when I was older, I was like, when I get old enough, I'm like, I'm going here. I'm going to learn as much as I can, do as much as I can here. So that was just always something like a goal I had to look towards when I was older. So when I got in junior year, I was ecstatic and I took any opportunity I could to do everything in our program. I think I was the first one to get certified on all the machines because Mr. A had like lessons he wanted us to do and like stick to the lessons, and I'd be there like a month early. I'd be like, can I please do the lesson early? I really want to learn how to use the mill. Come on, Mr. A, I have free time. So I loved every aspect of it, and I really love that we get to work with a bunch of industry professionals on projects and get to like talk with them and bounce back on those ideas. It's really an amazing program, and I've definitely seen myself progress in many different areas, especially with like mechanical and my designing. Like right now I was designing parts. We're making a pickleball launcher for a project, and a lot of the parts I have to make are to hold gearboxes and other mechanisms in place. And I was just thinking about like how easy it was. It took me like 30 minutes to design a huge portion of that on my CAD, and it would take me like 3 hours my first year. So I really loved it, and I love that it's kind of a fast-paced program, and it's really explore at our own pace because we're given prompts and constraints, things like that, like we would in the industry. We have all our paperwork that we would have to fill out for industry and document everything, but there's a lot of creative freedom to it too, which is really nice.
I love how you said you can see yourself growing as a learner. You know, oftentimes we don't get to do that self-reflection, or it's maybe not as positive, or, you know, so I'm glad that you have seen yourself grow over the years. That's super important, especially at your young age, for sure. Awesome. Thank you.
So, coming from Proctor, I really just started there because, I mean, I've heard the classes were okay there. And I was like, I guess so, but I mainly went there because of the sports, because we have a decent record. Not the best reputation, but the record's all that matters.
They do call it Titletown, and people wear shirts that say Titletown.
Titletown for a reason.
Yeah.
And so I started going there my freshman year. I was like, okay, I guess this will start working out. Wasn't really doing much for what I wanted to do in the future, but when Stafford came to Proctor to give their little presentation, they let the freshmen come and see it. So I went and I attended that because I was like, gets me out of this place, I guess. So I attended that, and when they told us that you could go to Stafford, take their classes, and go into a certain program to whatever career field you wanted to do, as well as do the sports and stuff at your sending school, I was like, I guess that's a win-win right there. So I can get out of here, and the same thing that Baker was saying was less classes you got to worry about, and then you still get to go back and do sports. So I signed up as soon as I could, and then got accepted to go as a sophomore there. And so the first year in that program, it more talks about like the different sciences behind all the police work that you would be doing. And then the second half, you start taking a college course. So as a sophomore, you start getting college credits there. And then the second year going back, you're more helping out and kind of guiding the first years on things that you went over last year, as well as more focusing on getting like different certifications in different areas. And for those of us that have driver's license, like you can take like different online defensive driving classes that you would need for future use for like driving cop cars and all that. And then for work-based, it's, I think right at the moment we have one person signing up to do hospital security, and we have another student that's doing ambulance rides. And hopefully, anyways, in the next two weeks, I'd be either starting with the Rutland City Fire Department or the city building inspector. So they definitely, especially Miss Kelly, definitely helps us get connections around, so that later on in the future, when we go to apply to these jobs, we already have those set on connections, and they know that we came from Stafford, so we know how to do this work. We know how to work hard. We know how to show up. Just helps build stronger connections.
I laugh because there's a couple common themes. So both of you guys were talking about like, oh, we get out of classes, let's do Stafford. But then to listen to your maturity level on what you're doing, it's like, yeah, you may not like high school classes, but think about your career. Like your career conversations are so mature. Like these are high school kids that are talking right now, so it's pretty impressive for sure.
And when they say they get out of classes, they come to Stafford and they're in class from 9:10 to 2:20. They don't have a break.
Yeah. It's just
They're not,
different.
they're
right?
not leaving and sitting
Yeah.
like across the street, so.
And like Matt was saying, the science, he's not leaving to go to science, but the science is embedded, it's embedded in their learning. Same with engineering, math is heavily embedded in the auto tech program, obviously in engineering. So, we look at the state academic proficiencies along with the state technical proficiencies, and all of that is embedded, they're taught, they're assessed. So they're getting those academic credits just in a different way. We do have standalone academic classes because
Right.
we have to have those. So, some students are taking English and math and, science and history. It depends on what program and they're in and what standards are embedded.
Can you guys tell me a little bit about how students qualify or how they're eligible for Stafford? I know they do the road show, and that sounds like that's what piqued your attention and your attention, and you knew about it because you were in Rutland. But how, like, if someone's watching this, how would they know if they would be eligible for Stafford?
Absolutely. Well, we're actually just getting ready to start, believe it or not, recruiting for next year.
This is it. This is their
This
first
is
gig.
it. This is the first
Here
gig.
we are.
We actually start heading out on, I think it's Monday of next week. So what we do is we schedule a time at every one of our partner high schools in the region. And Ms. Dunnigan, who's the outreach coordinator, and I go around and we meet with all of the sophomores. So they all come to the auditorium or library, wherever it works for the school, and we present them about the opportunities. And then the Monday and Tuesday before Thanksgiving break and the Monday to Tuesday after, all of the sophomores, they've selected some programs of interest, and they come and they actually get to visit 3 programs in a half session, so they can really see. It's one thing to see it on paper, but to actually go, and our students are the ones that host them, and they have activities set up in every lab for them to actually get a hands-on experience while they're there, to see if they can see themselves there from 9:15 to 2:20. And then if they like what they see, we also have a career night in December where those students and, I always say someone that they trust to help them make a decision, whether it's a parent, guardian, friend, whomever. We basically open up the entire school for the community to come in and actually experience those hands-on activities that the students experience during the day. And then we have an online application, and it has all of our entry requirements. Juniors and seniors get priority, so that would be the current sophomores and juniors. That's state statute. If we have space available, then we look at having sophomores come in, but it's only if there's space available. So there's an online application that they would complete, and it has all the entry requirements for every program because they are different for every program. And if they feel like they meet those entry requirements, they submit that application, and then we have an admissions team that reviews. Last year, we had close to 500 applications for about 260 seats. So we have a lot of applications, and there's a team of 3 of us that go through those applications, every single one of them. And we really, try to look at, are they on track for graduation with their credits? Do they have positive attendance? Because if you could hear, it's hard to recreate a lot of the things that they do. When we have the state police coming in with their drone team to do a lesson, it's not like we can recreate that lesson. When there's that challenging vehicle that they have in the lab, you can't recreate that once that vehicle's gone. Right. So attendance is critical to be successful at Stafford. And then once they've applied, they actually have to come and do an interview with the teacher for any program they've applied to, so that the teacher can really sit down and figure out, our motto is it the right student for the right program for the right reasons? Because we have so many interested students, we want to make sure we're getting the right students in there and we're meeting their needs and what they want. So students find out about March 1st. So it's a long process, but we are really, we take our time and we're deliberate. If we have questions, we reach out to the partner school counselor to try to get clarity so that we're really understanding the student and have a full picture of the student.
Very
So,
rigorous.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
How many programs do you have or do you offer at Stafford? How does that work?
We have 14 programs.
Okay.
So some of our programs, engineering, cosmetology, and welding have, I think that's it, and electrical plumbing have 2 instructors.
Healthcare.
And healthcare is 2 now. We're expanding programs left and right, so I lose track. So some of those, like cosmetology and engineering, have very specific year 1, year 2 curriculums. So the majority of the programs, though, we'll have, I'm thinking auto tech. We admit 16 students to that program. Federal OSHA requirements limit the number of students we can have in a program for safety reasons. Out of those, we'll have 10 first year, 6 second year is how we break it down. So not every first year student is guaranteed a spot back in the second year because of space. But, our programs are designed to be a 1-year program.
Okay.
So all of the standards, other than engineering and cosmetology, all of the standards, the state standards, they'll meet those in the first year. That second year is really a chance for them to go out on work-based learning, to take additional college credits if that's there, to earn additional certifications and really enhance their skills and help them get to their career path.
Nice. Speaking of work-based learning, can you guys tell me a little bit about what you're doing right now if you're doing work-based learning, or what you see yourself in the future doing after high school?
Yeah, so my work-based learning is at Alderman's Toyota in Rutland, to the Toyota dealership. I was lucky enough to get my co-op in my first year, which you don't always get the chance to do. So I was able to work there full-time over the summer. And they have an amazing shop, floors you could eat off of. We have 15 lifts. I'm working out of my own bay, so I have my own lift, my own toolbox. And the facilities at Stafford are nice, but the facilities at Toyota are incredible because it's a full-size dealership mechanic shop. So there's a lot of great equipment there that we might not get a chance to work on like at Stafford, and it's a great. It was an amazing opportunity because now, if I hadn't have gone to Stafford, I'd probably still be washing dishes at a summer camp, but through Stafford, now I have a job. They're going to take me full-time as soon as I graduate, and they give me training there for free there's online training. Once I pass that, there's in-person training, and I get all the same experience and certifications that I would normally have to pay for at college. But they will pay for me to go through all that so that I can, be a good employee for them and work. And two, just the actual experience. Because, at Stafford, we do have plenty of customers, but oftentimes we have a lot of downtime. But at Toyota, we're a busy dealership, cars going in
Sure.
and out, probably
Yeah.
10 or 15 cars an hour. And especially in a field like automotive technician, there's only so much you can learn on a smart board or on a computer.
Right.
There's a lot that just has to be learned by working on it, messing it up, fixing it. So yeah, it was an amazing opportunity to be able to go out and have a real job in the field at such a young age.
Does somebody from like Stafford come and observe you, kind of like when we're teaching, in college, we do our student teaching, right? And we have somebody that comes and observes us. Is that how it works for you? Do you have a mentor or an instructor that comes and observes you?
The way Toyota does it is whenever we have they accept a co-op student, they place them under the specific watch of one of their experienced techs.
Okay.
I've been working with a guy named Josh Parks there. He's been at Toyota for 13 years. And so you work under him. They'll teach you, guide you through more complex jobs. Because if you were to just get a job at a regular mechanic, since you're so new, you'd probably only be doing tire changes and
Yeah.
brakes and really easy things. But since you were able to work under an experienced tech, you're able to do a lot more advanced jobs.
And with all the
Yeah.
work-based learning, Darlene McGlory is our work-based learning coordinator, and so she creates a training plan.
Okay.
And in order for it to be considered an official co-op, they have to be learning those new skills above and beyond what they could learn at Stafford. So she checks in regularly. They get evaluations done by the employer, so Alderman's Toyota is regularly submitting evaluations on Baker's performance, and that comes back. It goes to his instructor as well, and if there's areas, that they're like, oh, this would be good, the times that Baker's back at school, he can check in with Mr. Woodward about that, and they can have a conversation, like, this is something that I tried, and it was a challenge, like, what do you know about this?
Right.
So they can, bring that back. So they still have time with their program instructor, who they're comfortable with, to be able to ask those questions. So, yeah.
How about with you?
So I don't have an official co-op that I go to, but what I do in engineering is a little different. So right now, I'm working on 2 different projects for 2 companies. I'm working on an automated guided vehicle for one company, and we're working with another company to make a carbon fiber pickleball paddle that you can use competitively. And so a lot of ours is more remote, like we do. It's more of a remote one in our shop, because the places we work with are kind of far away, and they don't and not all of them have like this shop we need to build these things ourselves. So we are kind of meet with them. The one with the pickleball paddle we're working for, we meet with him once every 3 weeks is what we've been doing right now, and we talk about him with our progress, what he wants from us, from what he's seeing, what we need from him in order to progress it on our end. We go over improvements, stuff like that we can make. With the automated guided vehicle, we came up with a sketch, an idea behind it, and got that approved by the company. And then we're testing and seeing what works well, what can we improve, stuff along that line. So ours is a lot more paced by ourselves, but we are given hard deadlines by each place.
So interesting. I just started pickleball, so if you need anybody to practice, we'll try it.
So I currently do not have a co-op set up yet, but as I previously mentioned, we're in the works for putting me in the Rutland City Fire Department. So I'd more be, obviously couldn't be playing with fire yet, but I'd more be kind of hanging around the station there, and them kind of going through different things with me, like different drills that they would go over. And then whenever they would get a call, I would, just like them, I would hop in the truck and go down to different calls with them and more just observe with them, and then just see what was needed to get done. But other than that, there's not a whole lot you can do unless you've been like fully certified with that. And the other one that they're trying to hook me up with is a building inspector. So it would be more just going from building to building with the inspector there and kind of learning through that different kind of career field.
Nice. So exciting for you guys. The more I'm hearing you, I was like, Stafford definitely would have been for me going back if I had to do it all over again, for sure. Skills USA, can you guys talk to me a little bit about that? That was something I heard of. I really don't know much about it. Anybody? What is it?
So Skills USA is a national competition between technical schools.
Okay.
So we compete in it, and there's two different types. There's a leadership challenge, there's leadership challenges, and then there's technical challenges. And so like I competed for Stafford in the automated manufacturing technical challenge this year. I've had a couple of classmates do like there's a job interviews one for leadership. I had another classmate do technical drafting as a competition, and they have it for a bunch of the different programs. Like there's all different aspects. There's ones that are more like reliant on art for like the technical skills, but it's a good opportunity, especially for like showing off the skills we learned. So it's heavily promoted for us to do in Stafford, and we definitely spend like a lot of time like because it tests our industry standards.
Okay.
And like what we can do according to the technical challenge, and a lot of it is stuff that they want to see in industry. I know for mine, I had to fill out a bunch of paperwork about the part I was manufacturing, and like, was I meeting tolerances? What was the step-by-step? What were the programs I was using? Stuff like that. So they really do try to test your technical abilities, whereas they also test in like the leadership ones, a bunch of like the soft skills they need for employers too.
When you say you compete with other technical centers, how does that work? Do they do it virtual? Do you guys all come together at one location?
So they all come together in one location in.
It's in different, it's so big, we have the events are kind of spread out over a week.
Okay.
And so depending on what it is, some are at the Air National Guard station up in
Okay.
Burlington, some are at the, it used to be the Sheridan, whatever the big conference center is.
Yeah.
Some are at VTC in Randolph, depending, and it's, the students have to compete at their local test center
First, and then
they have to get,
Okay.
and then they go and they're competing against other tech centers in Vermont.
Oh, wow.
And then any gold medalists at the Vermont are eligible to go to the National Skills USA, where they're competing against the gold medal winners from across the country. And so we had some of those from engineering last year, and you did well. You've been doing
Yeah, I competed in the motorcycle technician competition. It was held at the Wilkins Harley dealership. In their actual shops, we were working on bikes, and it was fun because I had never worked on a motorcycle before, and this was the first year, I think either ever or in a while, that we had sent kids to go to the motorcycle competition, because previously we'd only done the automotive one. But you know, there were some things that carried over. We had a list of tasks. We were each given a motorcycle and a station, and we had a list of tasks to do, ranging from freeing a stuck brake cable to doing an entire fork service, which is a very complicated job. It was fun. My good friend Isaac Eastman, he got second place in the competition, and he got scholarships and tools and all kinds of rewards.
No kidding.
But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome. So I know you guys are involved in athletics. That's something you had mentioned. What are some other ways you stay connected with your sending schools? Like, how do you stay connected with your friends at Otter Valley, or do you have the opportunity to do that, or?
Mostly, the way we stay connected is just outside of school.
Okay.
Just hanging out. I do some sports at Otter Valley. I help on the tech crew for our theater department.
Oh, nice.
But other than that, I mean, some of my friends I've somewhat lost communication with,
Yeah.
and that's what I was worried about when I was going to Stafford, is that some of my friends weren't, but that is totally not a concern for me anymore, because the way the programs are structured, you're spending a few of your blocks outside of program if you need academic classes, but you're spending so much time in program with the same people. You're building up friendships that you would never have gotten the chance to build up at a regular school where you're changing blocks every hour, hour and a half. I'd say since I came to Stafford, the number of friends I have that I'd be willing to die for is quadrupled.
Yeah, yeah. You have so many things in common, right?
Yeah,
Like you
the
guys have
bonds are
passions.
just a lot closer.
Yeah, that's great.
So I'm lucky enough that Rutland High School is attached to the same building
Right.
as Stafford, so I am able to see a lot of my friends when I'm not in my Stafford blocks. And the other thing is I take all my academics solely at Rutland because I do a bunch of APs along that line. And then I'm also really active in like after-school sports, extracurricular clubs, so I'm still really heavily embedded in the Rutland High School community as well as the Stafford community. So I still have like those close ties with a lot of my friends who are still in that building with me because I see them every morning still.
Right.
But I can definitely say like the kids I've spent in program, like the people I've spent all last year with and this year, there's definitely a significant bond between us. Like a lot of us can just communicate without even saying words. We're that close, and
That's
it's
super
like
important.
one of my favorite friend groups in the world for me.
Yeah, so with Proctor, I do 3 sports through them, so I'm there 5 days a week. So the connections haven't really been lost, and typically I'll leave my house like earlier so I can get to the school before school gets out, so I can just pop in and see some of the teachers that I had. Sometimes they don't really appreciate it because it's me walking into their class, but
Class is still happening.
you
That'll
got to
be-
make
they had to
yourself
make a
known
rule
there.
against
So you do that there too, huh?
Got to make yourself known.
Awesome.
Can't let them forget you.
Well, our time is up. Like 30 minutes is done. I just saw, I was like, whoa, we're done. And I didn't even get to ask you like so many more questions. Maybe you guys will come back. Maybe in the spring, tell me about your year. Would you guys come back?
Seriously, why not?
Perfect. It wasn't that bad, right? Any final thoughts, any words of wisdom to anybody that's considering Stafford?
I mean, do it. The worst that could happen is you try something, and if you don't like the program, you'll get your high school graduation, and you'll just have to find somewhere to go from there. But I guarantee you that they're gonna like it. You're gonna make friends. I've never met somebody who, went to Stafford and is just like, man, this place sucks. I wish I was back at my sending school.
Right. Awesome.
It's so much better.
Great. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you coming on.
Awesome. Thank you for having us.
All right, this concludes our Learning Lounge for Rutland City Public Schools. Thank you.